While many peaceful daytime demonstrations around the country turned to riots and looting last night, protests in the city of Montgomery, Alabama remained calm. Joining us now to discuss this is the mayor of Montgomery, Stephen Reed. Mayor Reed, thanks for being with us. And yesterday, we know you called for calm in your city, and you asked for your residents to follow a 10 p.m. curfew. It looks like they listened. How is your city doing today?
Our city is doing fairly well, but that being said, I think being in the birthplace of the civil rights movement, we understand what protest can do and ultimately what protest is designed to impact, and that is to bring about change in policy and change in laws. And that's what our protesters here have been doing, and that's what they focus on with a peaceful and purposeful approach.
And yesterday, Mayor, you spoke in front of a school named after a civil rights leader who played a major role in the Montgomery bus boycott. And yet you also have a school named after Robert E. Lee, the leader of the Confederate Army. As the city's first black mayor, how do you set a course for the future?
Well, E.D. Nixon called Montgomery the pilot light for the nation. He was marching on City Hall in the 40s before becoming treasurer of the Montgomery Improvement Association, which was led by a 26-year-old pastor named Martin Luther King Jr. So we try to focus on where things were then and certainly where we can go from here in this new future that we want to capture in Montgomery. And when you think about high school being named after a Confederate general from Virginia to Texas, you have these Confederate monuments that's still up. I think now is the time to reevaluate whether or not they still serve whether or not they're still relevant. They never really served a purpose other than to be in opposite position of the federal government and the laws that came after Brown versus Board of Education. So what we want to focus on is how can we be constructive in this tragedy? How can we take the memory of George Floyd and the anger and the energy that exists among so many people who feel disconnected from the opportunities of America and put that into policy?
Well, under your leadership, we are really excited about seeing what comes next for your city. I know in the meantime, though, unfortunately, you've seen a rise there in Alabama since restrictions have been eased in COVID-19 cases. How concerned are you that the protests are putting people in Montgomery at greater risk of now contracting coronavirus?
Well, after almost a 400% case increase between April and May, I'm very concerned about that because I realize the black community is disproportionately impacted by the COVID-19 virus. And again, it shows our divide when it comes to healthcare access. And so it is very problematic for me to think about where this may put our healthcare system down the road and who may be adversely impacted by this. But I certainly understand our protesters want to get their message heard. They are yelling and they're screaming for our attention.
And I know that you have a proposal you are going to make to the city council regarding face masks. And it is interesting. You mentioned that Montgomery's situation last week was dire with just one intensive care unit bed left for patients. Can you give us a sense where Montgomery stands now in terms of the aid it's able to provide?
We have seen some marginal improvement in that. We've been hovering around 4%. But as of the last numbers we had, we've been around 8% for about the last 24 to 48 hours.
We thank you for your tireless efforts in protecting your community. Montgomery Mayor Stephen Reed, we wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.